Hello everyone, peace be with you. I hope you're doing well. It's me, Sammy, and I'm back with a video. I want to say that from here on out, the videos are not going to exceed 20 minutes. 20 minutes and perhaps with some seconds after it, but let's just say no more than 21 minutes. But 20 minutes will be the goal. Yes, so last we spoke, we talked about the factor, one of the factors of why Eritreans became refugees, and it was the military factor. So Ethiopia took the government of Ethiopia, they took very vicious and barbaric military measures against Eritreans, civilians. They just indiscriminately killed people. This was what they did. You can refer to the last video about when it comes to that. So I just want to make it clear. So me and the Red Sea. I mean, I don't respect the Red Sea press, and if they see this, I really don't care. But the Red Sea Press is not a publication company that I'm fond of. The reason is because so for I wanted to use a book to teach Tigrinya. They have an excellent book. Well, they published an excellent book for the Tigrinya language, and you can get it. It's called Sawaso Tigrinya Grammar by John Mason, edited by John Mason. You know, so you can go and get it. I recommend getting the book, but that was a book I wanted to use. For no reason they didn't give me permission to use it. How am I supposed to teach Tigrinya without sources? I am using a source currently, which is a great source, but that source is also a great source. But they denied me the permission just to use their book, just to use a book that's a language book. How are people supposed to learn if the knowledge is not shared? Many people don't read, which is fine. Well, actually, no, it's not fine. Many people don't read, but so if we make videos that include lessons, it can make things easier for people and also encourage them to read, of course, but it would make things easier for people to learn Tigrinya. The Red Sea Press says, I didn't ask for permission properly. I asked them the same way I asked everyone else. My name is Sammy. This is my channel. I want to just include, I want to do lessons on Tigrinya, for Tigrinya. And I asked nicely, said thank you, shared the link to the channel if I'm not mistaken, and I just got a no. N-O. It seemed like it's just for the sake of saying no. It's very sad, to be honest. I don't support the Red Sea Press. If I were you, I wouldn't even deal with them. I wouldn't deal with them. I mean, they have good texts, but I wouldn't deal with them. If, they're not, I don't respect those people who advocate education, yet they bureaucratize it. That's not correct, If you want me to include the source, and if you want me to say who you guys are or mention who you guys are and put you guys out there, I will. But as you can see, this channel has a population of 200 followers, which it may grow, it may not. But I mean, if I make any money, why don't you make a deal with me and say I don't make any money, but let's say I did. Meaning I don't make any money off these videos, but let's say I did. Why don't you ask me and why don't you say, okay, whatever cut you get, give us, something out of it. I don't know. Make a deal with me. My goal is to teach, So in any case, so we have a source that is based on goes back to the Red Sea Press. They told me not to mention anything that has to do with them, so I'm going to respect their wishes. It's their company, so I'm not going to go against that. In any case, before anything, I begin in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. I praise and I glorify him as he ought to be praised and glorified. The first rural exodus, that's what we're going to be talking about now. This type of exterminationist policy produced the first largest refugee wave of 7,000 Eritreans in March 1967. The source for that is, and I always read the sources regardless of who they're from. The source for that is C. Keesing's June 24th to July 1st, 1967. Might be a journal. 1967, in parentheses, 22104A. 22104A. So, 7,000 Eritrean refugees in March 1967. By mid-1967, Eritrean refugees in the Sudan who encountered only sand, dust, and despair. That's what's mentioned. Sand, dust, and despair. I'm not going to continue because that sentence includes the Red Sea Press. One of their texts. One of their texts. A part of their text. So, in any case, but it's mentioned that they encountered only sand, dust, and despair. The refugees. You can go to. So it's A. Al-Bashir Khartoum Seminar on Refugees, September 11th to 14th, the 11th to 14th of September, 1982, PhD thesis, published by Oxford in 1978. Page 3. The scorched earth policy and the refugee flow into the country were preceded and accompanied by military operations of the ELF guerrillas both in the countryside and in the urban centers. So the scorched earth policy and the refugee flow into the country, Sudan, were preceded and accompanied by military operations of the ELF guerrillas both in the countryside and the urban centers, the Eritrean Liberation Front guerrillas. Leading Western newspapers started to give attention to what was happening in Eritrea. The Washington Post's Donald H. Luchem, in German I would say it's Luchem maybe, or something of that, something close to that, but this is an English paper. So Luchem wrote in April 1967 under the title Ethiopia's Little War is Hard to Hide. So they wrote in April 1967, the Washington Post, after 5 years of hit-and-run skirmishes, Eritrean separatists in rugged northern Ethiopia have begun to send nervous, poorly concealed tremors coursing through the imperial Ethiopian government. The Washington Post, April 30th, 1967. Okay, so, yes. Among the series of alarming and dramatic blows served against Ethiopia were, he reported, the death of a colonel commanding one of the army brigades, shooting down 2 policemen in an Asmara street, and on the 25th of March, in a planned strike in Asmara, a carload of nationalists gunned down a high-ranking Interior Ministry official in front of his house. That's the same article, the Washington Post. The author is Donald H. Luchem. So they made the Eritrean nationalists, they made them look like terrorists because of them wanting. This is not something new. You know, this always happens. You know, they give you a bad image of people that want to, you know, that want freedom, and it's against, you know, Western interests, and they start talking, you know, like this. Anyway, let's continue, and we'll better understand why Eritrea became Eritrea and why things were happening the way they were. The pacification campaign in the rural areas of the country, was Ethiopia's jittery response to an escalating war. It says to an escalating war. I'm guessing it was supposed to be to an escalating war. So Ethiopia's jittery response to an escalating war. That was the pacification campaign in the rural areas of the country. Ethiopia's jittery response to an escalating war. This time, however, there were all indications that it would not remain a hopeless separatist dream of Arab-supported few Muslim bandits. So now it was no longer a hopeless dream, a separatist dream of Arab-supported few Muslim bandits. The predominantly Christian Kabesa, which constituted the core of the Eritrean social and political setup, was warming up to jump into the cauldron. It was in early 1967, for instance, that Tedla Bayru, the former chief executive of Eritrea, and before that, the Secretary General of the Unionist Party, declared in Damascus to have joined the ranks of the ELF. So he declared in Damascus, Syria, to have joined the ranks of the ELF. Among the victims of this escalation, who crossed the border into the Sudan for a temporary sojourn as guests of a neighboring state, were Bani Amr tribesmen who were warmly welcomed by their kinsmen in the Kasala. So, among the victims of this escalation who crossed the border into the Sudan for a temporary sojourn as guests of a neighboring state were Bani Amr tribesmen who were warmly welcomed by their kinsmen in the Kasala, because Bani Amr are found in both Sudan and Eritrea. Eastern Sudan, Western Eritrea. They fall under, I believe, the Beja groups. And yes. And it was during 1967 that the Beja Congress of Eastern Sudan articulated its position concerning Eritrea, and it was during 1967 that the Beja Congress of Eastern Sudan articulated its position concerning Eritrea and the Bani Amr refugees in these terms. The following: the relationship between us and the Eritrean revolutionaries is not only a relationship of religion, but also of kinship. The source is Beja Congress Resolution of 1967, quoted in Markakis, page 113. OPCIT, page 113. I don't know what that stands for, but page 113. So that's the source. So it's not only religion. It's not just that, because they're Muslims, if I'm not, mainly Muslims. It's not just Islam that brings us together, but kinship as well, because they're of the same tribe. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the final paragraph of the first rural exodus, and we will be finished. Because if we get into the second one, it will take much time, but it's okay, because we'll make the second one. The second one will also be short. Time this time it's looking pretty good. So it was true. Finishing the first rural exodus section, it was true that Eritrea's first major rural refugee exodus into the Sudan fled Ethiopia's scorched earth policy designed to bring law and order into the 14th province, Eritrea. 14th province. So it was true that Eritrea's first major rural refugee exodus into the Sudan fled Ethiopia's scorched earth policy designed to bring law and order into the 14th province. But it was also true that those refugees went to the Sudan because they knew they were welcome there, like the Bani Amr. Other Eritreans in the same situation did not go. Okay, so that ends the first rural exodus. Thank you for watching. I will seek permission to use the quotes that are in this text produced by the Red Sea Press. If they give me the okay, I'll mention what I did not mention. And if not, then I'll just continue doing what I'm doing the way I do it. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Be well. Peace be with you.